What's going on here?
My husband's making me work.
What are you doing?
It's called canning tomatoes, making stewed tomatoes. And the tomatoes are very, very hot, but they skin really easy. So what I do is I kind of rinse them off, put them in the sink, get a big pot of boiling hot water, pour it over the top of them, and it turns out that they get very hot, but look how the skins just peel right off of them. Easiest way. Tomatoes are so easy to do. A little messy, and hot, but very easy. And then I just cut out the core. Any bad spots there might be. Sometimes there's a little piece on the bottom of the tomato. Rinse them all off. Put them in another pot. Squeeze them. And then I give the hard part to my husband, taking the masher and mashing them up. Or stewed. Already, and for tomatoes, if you have high acid tomatoes, you don't have to do the pressure canner. You can do it in the water bath. So it's pretty easy. I've already got my jars ready there, which I washed off and make sure that they're plenty hot to do the packing in. I've got my canner on the stove. I'll be heating that water up just shortly. Got my canning lids over there too, which I'll turn those on in just a minute. Get the clothes going.
Who's your helper?
That is my best buddy, Tucker. He's not a tomato eater. If I was canning something else that had something good, he'd be my floor cleaner up there. Sometimes these are so hot I want to say some nasty words. We didn't put out a big garden this year. I usually do a lot of canning, but since the kids moved away, I find that Jim and I in our old age don't eat nearly as much, and so we didn't do that. We also took a major trip, so we didn't have time to mess with the garden.
So what do you use these stewed tomatoes for?
Well, I use them for meatloafs. I use them in chili, spaghetti, anything that calls for tomatoes. And I have a thing that my mom used to do all the time that I loved, which was just tomatoes and macaroni. I think it's called like poor man's soup or something. When I was growing up, and it used to be one of my favorite snacks. Late at night when we got hungry, we'd just open a can of stewed tomatoes and put some macaroni or some sort of noodles in it and cook it. So now I'm going to heat this up and cook it for just a short while, and then I will put it in the jars and add some salt to it. Really don't need to add a lot of salt. These are high acid already, but I use canning salt. I have my little jar here, and I'll heat these up again before I put anything in it. And Tuck is making sure that I do everything right. Right, Tuck? Do I have it going the right way? Pretty darn simple. Canner has been with my mom's, so you know it is really, really, really old. Same way with my pressure canner. I have an old pressure canner that is really, really old. I had 2 of them. I just gave one to my daughter, so she's going to try to start to be a Susie homemaker and give her a hand. When we're home and have a garden, I can absolutely everything, including meats. Find meats on sale, I'll can them. I'll do soups and veggies and applesauce, and you name it. If it can be canned, I will do it.
Poor man's stew.
Poor man's stew.
We've canned meatloaf, Salisbury steak.
All kinds of soups, beef and barley,
Yum.
chicken chili, ham and bean, vegetable,
White chicken chili.
white chicken chili, green pea soup. Boy, if it's a soup that we like. The favorite probably is beef and barley, and vegetables are 2 favorites.
Yep.
And really comes in handy. We got a super neat rice cooker that we can put the soups over the top of. I was out visiting my daughter, and she had one of these. She has a real close Asian friend that introduced her. Actually, the Asian friend bought her one of these, and I went out there this past July, and this rice maker is absolutely magnificent. You actually can leave the rice in there for a day or 2, and it keeps it so it's not drying out. Love it. So we can take the soups and pour it over the rice, and we're good to go. There goes a meal. Open up a can of my homemade applesauce, and you got a meal. You got your rice, you got your veggies, you got your carb, whatever you need, right there. Super. Okay, and now this is some that I did earlier, and as you can see, they turned out really good. They're all nice and sealed. I haven't wiped them off yet. I've taken the rings off of them, but I haven't marked them. I always mark on top the year and what type. You can pretty well tell that these are stewed tomatoes, but I did those like a week ago or so, and they all turned out good. You always want to check the lid to make sure that they are sealed, but with tomatoes or anything, if you can either smell it when you open it or you hear the ping when you open it, and if you don't hear that, then you know it's probably not good. So
It's good for the compost pile.
it is. That's where it goes. Okay, so I cooked my tomatoes. I just get them to a good steaming. Let them steam, but I don't boil them, so I just really heat them up thoroughly. And then I am going to fill my jars. I fill them up, you can see about how high. I'm going to put just a little more in this one here. I do have this funnel that really works nice. I always do a knife in them, so that way you get any air bubbles out. And then I just move it on. I heated my jars all up so they are hot. So I'm just filling the jars up. I will be putting salt in them. Actually, that's probably going to be Jim's job because he has to have some part in the cooking if he wants to eat.
Of course.
So now I'm just filling my jars with the hot. And then Jim's job will be to make sure that the rims are clean and there's no food because we want them to seal. I already have on the stove my rings and my lids heating up. Tomatoes are probably one of the easiest things. If you want to start canning, I would say the 2 easiest things to do, tomatoes, and you basically do the same thing if you don't want to have stewed tomatoes. You can do whole tomatoes and you just cut them up and put them in the jar. Basically the same process. And green beans. Green beans are really easy, but you do need a pressure cooker to do the green beans because they are not a high acid food. but they're really easy to do too. So those are the two things that I do recommend for beginners. Another really easy one to do is applesauce, but you really need this neat machine called Victoria in order to do those, and it kind of does all the work for you.
How much is left?
I've got enough that I could do a couple more pints.
I'm gonna make a meatloaf after a while.
So you can use the
Whatever is left,
leftover. You
I'll
can-
use in the meatloaf.
I think I just filled this one a little too full, so you might want to scoop out some of that and put it in another one.
2, 4, 6, 7.
Yeah, that's how many
That's
you
it?
get.
Yep.
2, 4, 6, 7 in a can or whatever, yes. So now comes Jimmy's part. The lids will be boiling here in a minute. He'll put salt on them, like I said. He'll wipe the lids, the top of the lids off to make sure that there's no residue on the lids. I'm just filling this up. Usually you fill them up to about half an inch to an inch. Some people are real fussy and do it to a T, but I have been canning for, oh shoot, probably I started canning with my grandma and my mom, so probably I've been doing it for 60-some years. On my own, I've been doing it ever since I got married at, what, 21?
Yeah.
So,
48 years.
yeah.
Hello.
So now it's Jim's turn to get started.
There's not quite enough there for a meatloaf, but it's a good start. So
nothing will get wasted. We will be using all the tomatoes. So now Jim gets to do his part, which is clean the lids off.
a toy. Look.
And Tuck gets a toy. He gets the paper roll.
I just use paper towels, but before I do that, I'm going to put the salt in. We put in about half a teaspoon, sort of, more
Yeah,
or less.
fourth to half. These are only pints, so we don't need a whole lot. Jim likes a lot of salt, so
Just like that.
and we use canning salt, or it's also called kosher salt. As you can see right there, this is the ball. I haven't really seen any canning supplies this year at all, so it's been kind of a scarce year. I usually have a lot of that stuff on hand ahead of time, but this year has been something else, so we are having a problem. Over here on the stove, we have the lids, which we had them boiling, as you can
You
see.
don't boil it.
Yeah,
You
well, they
get
get
them just to the point
of
of
steam.
boiling, so they're steaming really well. I don't know if you can see the steam, but they're ready. Now,
And then over here we have the wash bath going, and then we get that heated up a little bit. You don't want to heat it up real hot, because you don't want your jars, heat and cold jars. But the jars are heated, so it shouldn't be any emergencies with a breaking jar. So now back to Jim and his job.
all right, I just take a dry paper towel and make sure that top rim is completely clean. You don't want a seed or grains of salt on that top rim, because it may not seal.
I think this is called a well-trained husband. I actually have left him to do the final part when I had to go to work. I used to work second shift as a nurse, and I still work as a nurse, but not the hours. And I had chili going one day, and I had to leave, and I left the kitchen in charge of Jim. He actually did okay. We didn't die of food poisoning or anything, and he got the chili done. Now he's just taking the lids, or the rings I should say, out of the hot water. Now you have to be careful. These lids lots of times like to stick together, so you've got to make sure that you don't have two of them together. I usually count them out. I know my water bath cooker holds 7 pints or 7 quarts, and I usually put 7 in at a time. So if I do get a double, and once if they do stick together, they stick together, and they're a little hard to get apart, especially since the rubber seal's heated up a little bit. And there's a good picture of his shoulder. So they do kind of stick together. So that is one thing to be cautious of. Even if you do get 2 of them together, they will seal. It's just your short one lid then for the rest of your canning. So process is easy. We're going to get this all done, and as you can see, get a big picture of this, and then he's going to put the rings on in just a minute.
Maybe.
I think maybe some of them are stuck together, maybe. They're just hard to get out of the bottom.
Okay. So, when you put the rings on, you just put them finger tight, like that. You don't, just snug. Okay.
Snug, and then you're going to come over here and you're going to stick them in the water bath. I think Jim needed to comb his hair this morning. He's got a rocking hair chair. Yeah, but I bet you've been sitting in your chair with your head back against the back. And this whole process actually, from getting them into the water canner, probably has taken me less than I'm going to say a half hour, 45 minutes at the very most. Tomatoes, like I said, are one of the easiest ones. The hardest part is peeling them. Even though they peel easy, it's just the hot water and getting them out in your hands, and now it's on the stove.
Then you lower this back into the water. You have to make sure they're covered. And these are just barely.
Yep, we might put just a little more water in there, but
I got some right here.
Put from the lids, and we are going to put the cover on.
Wherever it is.
Hopefully I brought the cover up. And voila, now we are going to water bath them for, I forgot. I'll have to check my canner. I never can remember.
Not until it starts boiling.
Yep.
So you have to wait. And once it starts boiling, we'll set the timers.
And I'll double check that just to make sure. Put cover on canner, bring water to boil, stop processing after water comes to a rolling boil. Process pints 40 minutes.
40 minutes. Okay. What book is that?
This is Ball's Blue Book. It's been the same for a number of years. I don't know how many years I've had this, but it's quite old.
Where's the old canner book?
This is another one that I use. It's called Better
Yeah.
Homes and Garden Home Canning Cookbook. It's got some good recipes in it. I really like their chili recipe in here.
I meant the old one.
Old one, yeah, it's in here somewhere. That's for the pressure canner though.
Right.
But I've got it buried in my drawer here. You're not supposed to look at my drawers. Nice and neat, right? There we go. Drawer does shut.
Okay.
So that's
So-
it. We're gonna wait 40 minutes. Well, we're gonna wait for it to start boiling, start timing at the time of it starts to boil, and leave them there for 40 minutes, and then we'll shut it off. I let it cool a little bit before I take them out, and then I take them out, and voila, we have some fresh tomatoes, or stewed tomatoes for the winter time. See you in that, but you might be, gotta be, always be careful, the zipper is broken in a second.
Zipper's broken.
On that second. Okay, so what are we doing?
Okay. Start out. Thanks for watching our canning video.
Have you got it going?
Yeah. Thanks for watching our canning video, and we have 2 more videos coming up. They're going to be fairly short ones. I'm going to make a meatloaf pretty soon and show you Jimmy's famous secret recipe for making a delicious meatloaf. And the other video is going to be Patty telling you how to deal with stink bugs, those smelly old nasty things that came from China. So, be sure to subscribe. What do you have to say?
Not much. And I'm also going to do a video on the Neuro, I don't even know what it's called.
Rice cooker.
Rice cooker. I got this really neat rice cooker, and it's really expensive, but oh my goodness, is the rice ever good. Does not compare to the little ones that, I've got another one that I bought like at Target or Walmart or somewhere, probably through Amazon or something, and this one does not compare to those. So, like I said, it is quite pricey, but if you use a lot of rice, it is magnificent. I am going to show you stink bugs. We're getting invaded again this year. Last year they weren't too bad, and this year they seem to be taking over the house again. So that's another thing we're going to explore, see how we can try to get them down to a bare minimum. And just watch our canning video and hit the like. We are the 2 old grouches along with Tucker, our Labradoodle that we adore. He is our toddler that just about does everything with us. So, till next time.
See ya!
See ya.